Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. All right. Make sure we're all set up over here. Awesome. Looks like things are working. I love that. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about the reason for referral when we are evaluating students. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I am Jenny Ponzuric. I've been in this amazing field for over 20 years, and I am the founder of the Prepared School Site community as well as PSW Monthly. And today I wanted to just chat quickly about the reason for referral and why it's so important that we have as much information about that as possible. And what's the reason why this is so important? Because a lot of times knowing the exact reason for referral is going to give us information about which assessment tools do we want to be gathering in order to make sure we're doing a comprehensive evaluation. So, for example, easy example, if I have a student who is struggling and everyone tells me it's a decoding issue versus a comprehension issue, well, if it's a decoding issue, then I'm going to want to be looking at things like phonemic awareness and rapid naming skills and phonological memory, right? There's a reason why all of those things are on a test called the CTOP, the Comprehensive Test of Phonological Processing. However, if we know decoding is fine, but comprehension is an area of concern, well, then I tend to make sure that we've got some other kind of memory tests that we have included in our assessment battery. That's when we like to look and make sure that we have assessment tools that look at verbal memory that goes a little bit more in depth than just like a number kind of memory. So that's when I want to make sure I'm getting like a sentence memory task or a story memory kind of task, right? So the more that I know about why I'm evaluating this particular student, it's going to make it easier so I'm not giving the same exact assessment battery to every single student that I evaluate in a year, right? Now, what this brings up though is that some of you work in schools where you guys get a lot of really great data at your meetings so that you walk into an evaluation, you know exactly why you're evaluating this student, right? They're coming in with data. We've got documentation. We've asked all the questions, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. But some of you don't work at that school. Some of you sometimes just get information sent to you saying, here's a kid that we need to test. And you've not been a part of all those conversations, or we don't have all of that data, and we're not even quite sure why we're evaluating this student, right? And that can be really hard because it's like we're going into like a dark room without a flashlight, right? We're just kind of feeling around what's kind of going on here. So for those of you who work at those kind of schools, number one, I would definitely work on your pre-referral process and make sure that we are capturing the data that you are looking for so that you can make these informed decisions, right? So can we kind of fix that process a little bit, maybe give some feedback about some things that would be super helpful for you? And if we're still in that scenario and all we're getting is academic difficulties, or my favorite, he does nothing, she's failing everything. And we're like, and like, what else do you know about this kid? Then before we decide to start picking up our protocols, that's why all those other parts of our assessment process are so helpful. This is definitely the kid that you are not waiting to the last minute to read the cumulative record, right? So that you can get this historical perspective on the student and you can start seeing, have there been any long-standing academic issues? And if so, in what areas, right? This is that time, if you've not been part of these processes and you've not had the opportunity to ask questions, then we want to make sure that we're asking parents the questions and teachers the questions before we decide on what protocols that we're going to be using with this student. And as long as the student's old enough and has enough verbal skills, I love asking the student, like, what's going on? Right? What's going on here at school? And my favorite question for students is, why? Why is this hard for you? Why is that easy for you? Right? Because sometimes we realize that maybe there's a personality conflict between the student and the teacher, and that's why we're not liking this subject, and maybe that's why we're not putting forth our full effort. But sometimes our students are really able to explain things in a way that really helps support us in figuring out where do we want to dig a little bit deeper, right? Like I'm thinking about students who have said things. I'm not saying they walk in and they're like, I perhaps have a memory issue. But in conversation, that's my first thought is, oh, they said enough things that now I'm questioning whether or not there's any memory concerns. So I'm going to make sure to do a little deeper dive than just my basic battery usually covers, right? I like to ask students, how long has this been a problem for you? Is this something you remember? Like when I'm working with a high school student, do you remember always having difficulties even when like you were in elementary school, or is this something new for you? Right? Again, kind of getting that historical perspective from the person who's been living through this, right? So just wanted to jot in here quickly and kind of chat with you about the reason for referral. A lot of us are just kind of still in those first couple of weeks, maybe month and a half in school. And so a lot of times, especially those of you who are newer to the field, I think this is a good time to reflect on what kind of information am I getting to make sure that not just myself, but our entire assessment team is really making informed decisions based on data and information from all of the important people in this child's life to help us make sure that we are hitting all the things that we need to do as part of this assessment process. All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. We've got a lot of different resources over on my website, jennyponzuric.com. If you've not hung out over there, feel free to go on over there. We send out a newsletter once a week with different free resources and different things we're kind of finding. We also have a lot of resources about behavior concerns, social emotional concerns. We got a bunch of blog posts with a lot of great resources on there as well. So if you've not done that, go ahead and head over to jennyponzuric.com. And there's a space right there on our homepage that if you have a follow-up question, you can't find something on my website, feel free, put that question in there and either myself or someone from my team will go ahead and get back to you. All right. I hope everyone's having a great week and I will talk to you later. Bye.